Day trading, what am I looking at when I'm in a trade? Gonna break down what's on my screen and all that fun stuff here in a second, kind of talking about the idea of what I'm looking for while I'm in a trade, what indicators I'm using, how I'm looking at the chart, the time and sales, level 2, and all of that fun stuff. Gonna talk about it in this video. But one thing that I want to remind people is that there's no perfect cookie cutter setup. I've changed my setup probably 100 times since I first started day trading. I've changed my layout. I've changed a lot of things over the last 2 years. And the reason for that is the more that you start to trade, you start to change your strategies, you start to look for different types of stocks, you change what you're looking for, and you're also kind of changing, how you're trading and the idea of what you're trading. So you're constantly kind of adjusting things and moving things around on your screen and kind of figuring out what works best for you. There really is no perfect, bam, this is the best possible way to monitor stocks or to trade. At the end of the day, it's really going to come down to what works best for you and your personal preferences in terms of how you want to have everything laid out, what you're watching for. But for me, I'm going to talk about kind of what I'm looking at and what I have on my screen here in this video. So make sure you stay tuned.
So I've been getting the question a lot lately of what I'm looking at when I'm in a trade. So pretty much what I got on my screen right here is very simple. This is what I'm keeping an eye on overall. You can see basically everything on my screen. We got my EMAs. I got the 9 EMA, the 20 EMA. The 20 is the red line, the yellow or green line is the 9 EMA, and then the white line is the VWAP once the market opens. So that's what I'm really kind of keeping an eye on in terms of indicators. I'm not using really any other indicators, but let's say I get into a trade, what I'm looking for, what I'm really keeping an eye on is over here on the right side of the screen. So I'm really kind of keeping an eye on the overall kind of candle structure. So right now I can see the bottom here. We're getting some support there at the 103 right now. You can see a little bit of selling pressure kind of trying to break through that 101 area, but you can kind of see you got a little bit of a bottom here right now. So, if I'm in this trade right here, let's say I'm still short on this trade, which I'm not right now, but if I was still short, I would be watching this area closely, but I'm also watching the time and sales as well. So right now I can see there's a lot of selling pressure going through there at 102, get people buying, but we're not going lower. So there's a lot of orders going through, but we're holding that 101, 102 area right now. And if I'm looking over here on the right where my mouse is, I can see the level 2, kind of seeing that there's a buyer there at 101, there's a buyer there at 102, and then the selling pressure isn't that much right now until about 107. So if I was in this trade right now, I'd be keeping a very close eye on the overall just pattern that's going on with the time and sales. Are we seeing a lot of selling? So there's that selling going through there now. So there's that pullback. You can see how the time and sales is showing red, white, red, white. So the white's going to be between the bid, the ask. The red obviously is going to be people selling into the bid there. And the green's going to be when somebody's buying the ask. So you can see SESN kind of pulling back through there. Also keeping an eye on the volume as well. If I see a big spike in volume, obviously a lot of times when we get that big spike in volume, it means that we're kind of breaking through a certain area because now we're getting people getting stopped out. I think, right there at that dollar area, people had their stop losses there. And then now you can kind of see, okay, we broke through there. The volume isn't as much right now. We're getting a little bit of volume. But overall, the big focus for me really is time and sales right here, time and sales. And then I'm also keeping a close eye, obviously, on level 2, kind of just seeing, what's going on. Remember, it's kind of a chess game. People are kind of moving the time and sales. People are kind of moving their orders around. People are doing, weird things pre-market, trying to move the stock differently than actually during when the market is open. But overall, that's kind of why I have everything on the right side of the screen. So I'm sitting here right in the middle of my screen. I'm keeping a very close eye on the time and sales, the level 2. I've also got multiple screens pulled up on my entire screen. I got multiple screens that are watching other stocks. And then down here below, just for kind of an overall idea of what the stock is doing for the overall just trend, I got this bigger time frame with the 5-minute chart, the 15-minute chart. I'm kind of just switching through there. I'm also taking a look at the daily chart, kind of where the action is. What's the overall trend here? And you can see by looking at the 30-minute, looking at the 5-minute, looking at the 15-minute, it's nothing but red, red, red. So overall, I can see that bigger picture time frame. I've also got the 20 EMA and the 50 EMA pulled up on there as well. And I also have the VWAP on there as well. So that's kind of what I'm just keeping an eye on when I'm in the trade. I'm looking, really where's that support at, where's that resistance, and how are we reacting to those certain areas. So right now we're kind of holding around this dollar area right now. We had that previous little support there kind of at that $101 area. So now I want to see if I'm short, if I'm still holding this, is it going to get stuck there? And I can see on time and sales, I can see in the level 2 kind of just stacking up, getting some sellers stacking up there. And, we're getting a little bit of volume going through there. You can see still this candle that broke through that dollar support. Look at the volume. We had 100,000 shares traded, big spike in volume, and then since then we kind of just tapered off. So like I said, once we broke through that key area, we got a big spike in volume. That's a good sign normally because it means that, like I said, people are selling. It's adding onto that pressure. It's a solid move. You get a big solid spike in volume. Normally it means that the move is solid in a sense that, it's going to pull back through there and kind of hold in that area right now. So right now we're going to kind of see what happens there. But like I said, I'm just watching the level 2. I'm watching the time and sales closely, and I'm kind of just focused on that right side of the screen as I'm trading. I'm looking at overall, what's the trend, what's going on. I got my 5-minute chart pulled up down below there as well, kind of keeping an eye on the overall trend. And then for the 1-minute chart, I'm kind of looking for my entries and my exits, trying to see, what the candle formations are looking like. Do we have a lot of big wicks on the top here? You can see on these candles, wick, wick, wick. So obviously that means there's selling pressure there. We're getting some sellers stepping in there at that area, trying to push this below $1. So you can see SESN down there below $1 now. And that's kind of what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at when I'm in a trade. I'm looking at just really those 3 key things, overall, the price structure, the candles, the level 2, time and sales. Very important to have all that pulled up. The EMAs are there more so just to give me an idea of the overall trend. If we stay below the EMAs, that means we're probably going to head lower. If we get back above the EMAs and we're showing some strength, that can mean that the stock is going to start to turn upside and start to head higher. So that's really why I'm using the indicators that I use, more so just to see the overall trend, get a better idea of the overall trend more than being like, oh, this is a key indicator that I only trade if this key indicator breaks. It's more so for me just to see the overall trend here. And SESN pulling down there to below $1 now. I was short there from $1.20. Oh, it's painful to watch. So there it is, kind of breaking it down, what I'm looking at and all that fun stuff, what's on my chart, and time and sales level 2, all that stuff right here. This is where I'm focused at, this key area. Pretty much we're right there. It's where my eyes are at, right in this circle of an area. If I could draw a circle, it would be basically from here to there. There it is. I'll talk to you guys later on. If you haven't already, do me one big favor, hit that subscribe button. Talk to you guys later on.